Hey, bro. What are you going to teach me today?
A lot of neat stuff. You're gonna love this lecture.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Emo Tempest here, and welcome back to another episode of Teach Me Mogster. Opus 23 just dropped, and we've got a whole new set of frequently asked questions brought to you from Square themselves. I thought it would be cool to go over this right before Portland, hoping to give you guys an edge, hoping to help you guys make sure you don't get screwed over, and obviously just to help, smooth things out for everybody, both players and judges alike. Quite a couple of interesting cards I wanted to cover today. There's not anything too outrageous, but I am excited about some of these. So, as always though, if this is something you like, don't forget to like the video, share it along your Discord, and anything helps. So make sure to drop a comment and we can move on. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with Caius. So Caius is you guys have seen the card. So the next time Bahamut card is cast, the cost will be reduced by 5, even if the player has not chosen to search for Bahamut first. What does that mean? So that means if you fail to find, and as long as the auto resolves, you will still be able to cast your next Bahamut by 5. Meaning if you're out of Bahamuts, they're all in your hand already, whatever reason. It is all one auto though, so if it is modded or levied, you will not get to reduce the next one by 5. And the second part, it just tells you once it's the effect to come back is on the stack after the cost is paid, which is discarded, right? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but I just wanted this to be aware, as some people get maybe a little confused, but it's something to notice. The other one's not that big of a deal, but thought it should be said. We might not even see this, but Zidane, it is not possible to only search for a single card. Zidane says you must search for 2 cards. And that's about it. Again, not a big deal. Just thought we should cover it. Arden. This is my favorite one so far of the day. It is possible to use Arden's auto ability to play a card from the player's Limit Break deck to the field, even if there are no face-down cards in the Limit Break to turn face up. What does this mean? So, I'm sure you guys have played Cloud and Titus in one game, right? And usually when you play a Limit Break 3, that will take up 4 cards, and a Limit Break 2, that will take up 3 cards of total, leaving you with an empty 1 card, face down card left in your Limit Break deck that is completely useless. Now, Arden breaks this for us. Arden lets us have almost a 9th Limit Break card. So as long as you have another Arden face down, and even if you don't have anything face up, you will be able to bring back Arden, play that last face down Arden onto the field. This is honestly, this might come really, really in handy for a multicolor deck that uses Arden. I think this is a great way to abuse the limitations of the Limit Break deck. I think this is very strong. I think this is abusable. And honestly, if nothing else, this is efficiency, right? We want to play at the highest level, and understanding that you can use that Arden, even though you don't have any face down cards, it is very strong. You should be aware of this, and if not, you should and if your opponent is not, you should be taking advantage of this. Next, it is going to be, I believe in Ice, there is only Xenos. Xenos was quite an interesting one when he got revealed. The second auto ability can only be activated once, even if 2 or more cards in the break zone are removed from the game. We understand that. But the second part, if you guys didn't see the official Twitter ruling, Xenos auto abilities will trigger when a Limit Break character moves to the Limit Break deck from the break zone due to the Limit Break rules. What does this mean? That if you guys aren't aware of Limit Break rules, the Limit Break card will always go back to the Limit Break deck face up after it is, whether it is bounced to your hand, sent back to the deck, sent to the break zone, or removed from the game. Right? Now, this auto ability will trigger if you, for example, just somehow break their Limit Break card, right? It will go to their break zone, and from the break zone, it will leave and go back to the Limit Break deck. this will trigger the ability to discard. Again, something I suspect Ice will be playable. I think Xenos is a fantastic card. This is very good. It's also something you should be aware of when to trigger and when to use it to make sure you're getting maximum value for this. It was the same thing similar to with the Leo and the Princess Brawn in that we saw last set. If Leo goes from the field to the break zone, Brawn will trigger and you can pay 2 to bounce something. Same concept, but in this case, you're going to make your opponent discard. It might not need to be said, but I believe it's whenever anything leaves your opponent's break zone, right? So if they Kusith or something like that, you will also get these triggers. Just let that be known as well. Gonna move on down to none of these matter. Yeah, a lot of these cards, by the way, guys, I don't want to highlight because they're all the same. They're mostly 2 autos, like Lady Lilith says, paid on resolution, and then auto to gain control. Most of these effects are like this. I did want to cover Hope because he was the biggest one. CP either paid a point when the effect was resolved, and then the auto ability to search for X character to be played on the field is then added to the stack after payment, right? So auto number 1, you can choose to stop them before they pay, I guess, but that's not efficient. You would wait till the second auto after they pay to cancel and let them waste the CP. Don't ever jump the gun whenever you see these. If you have any questions, if you're not sure, always check for the when statement. There is when you do this, and then when you do so, do this. But yeah, Hope is the number 1 card out of all of these effects. There's a lot of double auto abilities in this set, and I think it's important that you guys can spot them. Another one that I thought that came up actually in Sealed. Shout outs to our boy Geo for really getting me on this one in Sealed. Shantoto, 2 summons must be selected. If only 1 summon is present in the break zone, it is not possible to select. It is possible to select one of your own summons and one of your opponent's summons, but 2 summons is a mandatory condition to resolve this effect. If there's only 1 summon in either player's break zone, you cannot get this. I think this Shantoto is great. I'm sure it will see some play. If a lot of cards hadn't been banned, I think this would be a fantastic deck, an even stronger card. But right now, I think it's really good. So just remember, if there is not 2 summons in the break zone, your opponent cannot do this. We're going to move on a little bit down here. We're going to go to Sarah. Sarah's an interesting one. I don't want to get too much into this first one because it's a little confusing for everybody, I think. But let's cover it briefly. It's possible to replace this card's power value. Let me highlight it for everybody here. It is possible to replace this card's value with a specific number using the effects from other cards such as Diablos. In this situation, the change to the power value is not treated as a modifier, right? So it will not be dispellable, I guess is what it's trying to say, right? But when Dispel is used, all plus modifier power values on the field abilities will cease to apply. So this is talking about anything that's like a banner. Your Walker, your Lulu from Opus 1. I'm sure there's, I can't think of any right now, but other cards that just say, as long as this is out on the field, your other characters get this, or your characters with Brave get this, plus 1 power. All of these field abilities are reduced, or cease to apply, right? Is what it says. This does not happen. What I do want to cover is this last bit. It says, if action abilities or auto abilities or summons that increase the power values have already been resolved, and Dispel is used after the resolution, the power increase will still remain. This effect, but any abilities or summons used to increase the power after that will not take effect. So, just so you understand, 2 CP Fire Belias would give 1k and first strike. If I let that resolve, and then I try to dispel, I will still lose this battle because my opponent has already resolved the 1k. Now, if he uses Belias and I respond with dispel, he will not gain any abilities. So as long as our effect is applied before anything theirs does, we will, ideally win that exchange. That's how you use the spell. That's how it is. That's how you should be looking out for it if you do run into Sarah over the weekend or at locals or anything. So next one is Fermelda. Fermelda's a cool one. I also suspect Fermelda will see a lot of play. The effect of this card's ability is still resolved, even if the number of different elements possessed by a character under the player's control has fallen to 3 or lower after the effect is selected. So, similar to, I guess, the way I kind of want to put it is, when Fermelda's effect is when she enters at the start of the battle phase, right? So, if you wanted to stop her from doing this, you would need to change the elements on their side prior to battle. Because once it is triggered, unless you cancel outright the ability, the option is chosen right then and there, and then you can't change the number of characters or elements possessed by the characters, right? So just keep in mind that you have a specific window for this one. It's the important part when trying to resolve this. So the scenario will look something like this. It says, enter battle. Fermelda triggers. She will choose to either bring out another forward or reduce, select target. So modal effects, it will trigger, select type, and then resolve. Priority is passed to you, right? Before the resolution. If at that junction you try to, for example, hecaton their Shantoto, or whatever's giving them more than all the elements, right? Let's say you try to break it. It is too late. So you would have to do it before they go into battle, so they do no longer get that trigger. Again, once they're in battle, Amat is pretty much your best option. So keep that in mind. Fermelda is very strong, and I think it's important, again, that you guys know when to handle it. Luna Freya is probably the one that's going to give a lot of people a lot of trouble. I thought it was important to cover this one as well. We're going to go ahead and do this for you guys. So it is possible to interrupt an EX Burst effect that is triggered by this card with a summon or ability. Now, what does that mean? That means Luna Freya's effect, right? Luna Freya's effect is to use that ability, that EX Burst. So you are stopping Luna Freya's ability. Now, once her ability resolves, the effect to use 6 CP Levy's effect, because it is a summon, it cannot be stopped by Y'shtola. So that's what the second line here says. An EX Burst effect triggered by this card is neither an auto ability nor a summon. Accordingly, it is not possible to render the invalid using cards such as Y'shtola, the old Wind legendary. So even if I am using an EX Burst, like I said, for example, from 6 CP Levy, Remora, or any of your favorite, Titan, any of your favorite EX Burst summons, you cannot use Y'shtola to resolve it. You would have to stop the ability from Luna Freya directly. Okay? And then the last part, an EX Burst effect triggered by this card does possess auto abilities and or summon information. Accordingly, it is not possible to select the character that is not selected by summons or abilities trait with the effect. So pretty much the same rules apply when you use this card for any general purposes, right? Like, everything has to be a valid target, pretty much. And the last one that isn't here, but was also approved previously, is that this effect, Luna Freya, does trigger the Lenna backup. And so you will draw off of that card. Similar to the Axstar, the old Fire Legendary Axstar, if Axstar triggers an EX Burst that's already in damage, you will draw again from Lenna. So these are a couple of ones that are interesting that you should know ways to deal with it. Luna Freya will be very popular. That card is absurd. It is going to win games single-handedly, I think, or at least bring them back from like the brink. And so just understand how it's dealt with. Please be sure to read the card and come in here and read the FAQ for yourself. If this video was a little too confusing, talk with your play groups so you understand it, so you all understand it. And the last one is everyone's favorite boogeyman right now, Chaos. This one's not too complicated. The cards are removed at the point of the effect at which it resolved. So if you Amat him, nothing is removed. You do not break a forward or discard any cards. And then putting 10 cards from your deck into the break zone is treated as paying costs. So the ability cannot be used if there are 9 or fewer cards in the deck. Which means, if you manage to survive towards the end of the game and they're still fishing for that last S Chaos to try to do it to you again, make sure you count their deck. Keep track of their deck numbers. they will not be able to if they have less than 10 cards. Yeah, that's it, guys. That's it for the FAQ. I do have a special guest here for you, White Mage. He's actually, and we just mentioned the Lenna trigger thing, so I did want to hand it off to him to go into Lenna a little bit more. I understand it was a big problem for judges, missing mandatory triggers, so I decided to bring everyone's favorite head judge into this, and maybe he could shine some light on it. White Mage, take it away.
Lenna will trigger when an EX burst is used, so even if Lenna is bounced, flanked, or broken by the EX, she will still go on the stack. Lenna is one of the most commonly missed effects. Because it's mandatory, we will always try to rewind. Because the effect is to draw, it's pretty easy to fix. But if the player has drawn cards, or has taken damage, then it might get more difficult to rewind, and it might just proceed forward with just a caution or a warning. If you are unsure about whether it is too late, always call a judge and have them sort it out.
All right, everybody. Well, that's it. You got it there. There's your information for your judging rule this week. Thank you, White Mage, for taking the time to do that. I appreciate it very much. All right, everyone. Well, that's going to wrap things up for me here. I hope you learned something. I wish you all good luck on your next tournaments, and I hope I helped. I hope I gave you an edge, or at least I prepared you a little bit more for what you should be seeing out there. I'm Tempest, and yeah, I'll see you guys later on the next episode of Teach Me Mogster.